Midterm rentals are not just about traveling nurses and not just about insurance claims. There are so many other tenant types that need these types of properties, and that's what this video is going to cover. So we're going to cover real world data from the last 5 tenants that I have sourced in 5 different states. We're going to cover those 5 states, those 5 tenant types, none of which are nurses. And we're going to talk about how many people came in, as well as how you would write your listing if you're starting to see a pattern around those types of tenants coming into your property, or you're just thinking, this is probably the tenant type that would be interested in my property. Everybody that I'm going to talk about, this is the tenant on their first rental. If you want to know what they've made, stick around till the end and I will have something about what each host made. Welcome. If you are new here, I am Erin Spradlin. I am a midterm rental consultant. If you feel like you learn anything in this video, please like it. If you want notifications when I publish new videos, please subscribe. Just as a heads up, I'm going to do 2 or 3 videos this fall on Furnish Finder because I know that they brought in a new team and a lot of things are changing over there. And then finally, if you are looking for consulting, I will drop into the description how to book consulting. I have a 1-hour package, a 2-hour package, and a hold my hand mentor package where I will vet and set your first tenant, give you 6 hours of coaching, and set up your entire listing. So it should be good just for a handoff. You can find all that stuff in the description, as well as a copy of a free midterm rental lease and a checklist tied into Amazon through my Amazon midterm rental shop. So if you're furnishing a rental, it's a good place to start. Okay, enough housekeeping. Let's get into it. Okay, our first group comes out of Kansas City, Missouri. They are certainly not limited to Kansas City, Missouri. If you look around and you see a lot of road work or you see a lot of cranes, they are probably in your area. And this works both for city properties and also rural properties. This is sort of the unicorn group, in my opinion, because they tend to be low key. You don't talk to them a lot. They don't tend to haggle about the rate, and often they renew, which is really nice because it keeps your vacancy rate low. Also, a lot of times they'll come out of corporate. That's why they're not haggling about the money, is because it's a corporate group that's paying for the actual individuals that are staying in your property. A lot of the reasons why people like midterm rentals is because the renters will pay that elevated cost, but you don't hear from them a lot. They tend to be low key, and that is definitely true for this group. And I am not only seeing this group with the people that I'm co-hosting on, but I am also personally renting to this group right now as well. So who is this magical group? Well, this magical group is construction workers. So in this particular rental unit, we have 2 brothers, and then one of them is married to someone. And so this group of 3 came in, and then they renewed that lease several times because the project and the work also kept going. So they needed to continue to be in the rental. And in this case, the individuals rented the place, the corporation actually didn't. But a lot of times you will see someone from corporate rent these properties. As a side note here, and I don't want to be confusing, but I do not think it's in your best interest to think about a particular avatar or a particular group that you're renting. Now, that may seem confusing because this whole video is about the different types that need your rental, but that's because there's a lot of groups that need your rental beyond traveling nurses and insurance claims. And so I just want to drill that into you. And then also, if you're seeing patterns of who's renting, this video will help you lean into the listing to make it appealing to that group type. But as a general rule, I think focus on what's attractive about the property versus talking to any specific tenant type. And again, this video is structured for that. So when we are thinking about laborers and construction workers, we are not writing a listing or a description that says, hey, construction workers, or hey, laborers. What we're doing is we're thinking about the tenant and what they care about. So construction workers usually wake up early, they work all day, and they have a physically demanding job. So what do they care about when that job is over? I think they care about convenience, sleep, and relaxation. And when we think about convenience, we think about proximity to a grocery store. We think about proximity to a bank. We think about a dishwasher, a washer and dryer, things like that. So those are the types of convenience items that we want to emphasize in our listing. When we think about sleep, we think about a quality mattress. Always do a king if you can fit a king comfortably into a room. If you can't, if it's gonna be ridiculous, go with a queen. But if you can make a king work, you want to do that. The other thing that will help facilitate sleep is blackout blinds. So blackout blinds aren't just good for light, they are also great for temperature control and noise control. So this is something else that someone that is very sleep focused is going to care about, is the setting of the room beyond just the mattress. And then finally, when we think about relaxing end of the day activities, what does that look like? Well, often for midterm renters, that looks like cooking in the kitchen. So making sure the kitchen is fully stocked. Also very comfortable couches, maybe footstools, and large television sets. So again, no comment of like, this is for construction workers, but just ping the things that are important to them. Big TV, dishwasher, washer, dryer, brand name king or queen mattress, blackout blinds. That sort of stuff will appeal to people that have physically demanding jobs, whether that's a nurse or a laborer. So the second group is tied into hospitals, but it's not nurses or doctors. While this group is going to be very easy on your rental and probably low key and quiet, you kind of hate to see this group because of what they are going through. And this group is patients. People live in areas that don't have good hospitals that can handle cancer treatment and other types of treatments. And so these people need to come in, they need to have a furnished rental, and now we need to think about what do they care about, what is important to them. So comfort and convenience are going to be really important to this tenant type. Comfort, again, is not just going to be comfortable mattresses and a large TV to relax to, but it's also going to be things like weighted blankets and heated blankets. The benefit of heated blankets too is that whether or not your tenant is having a health issue, heated blankets sometimes encourage people to keep the thermostat lower and contain the heat to themselves. The final note here, probably the most important note, I probably should have led with this, is being pet friendly. And that's because pets bring most owners a lot of joy and a lot of comfort. And again, if you are near a hospital and you're starting to notice a pattern of patients coming in, a really great way to service your tenant types that also happen to be patients is to be pet friendly. And you will see that this not only helps your tenant, but it also helps you. In a lot of markets, you will cut out 50% of your competition because people simply do not allow for animals. So it's not only a good business move, but it's also a compassionate move if you have a lot of patients coming into your property. All right, let's get to our third rental type. This one comes out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, my area. If you've seen other videos, this was a past client of mine that I had as a real estate client when I was still doing real estate, and then became a consulting client when he decided he wanted to travel. Sort of interesting. He's renting out to a family that is getting a divorce, but they want their kids to have stability and stay in the same school district. So they have maintained the family home, and then each parent is cycling in and out of his basement, and the other parent is just going to stay with the kids. Anyways, that's not even the group we're talking about. That's just the group that he had in the basement. He was looking to rent the 3-3, so the portion above the basement, which was 3 bathrooms, 3 beds, the kitchen, the garage, everything else. So in this case, if you have a large house in the suburbs, this is probably going to be your group, and this is probably going to be the tenant type that is seeking you out the most. And the reason for that is because they have kids, and kids have a certain school district that they need to be near. Also, because it's a family, they're going to care about modern conveniences like grocery stores, like a bank, like access to parks, but mostly access to a certain school district. So who am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about families, but specifically I'm talking about families where the job has maybe started before the new property has been secured. So that's what happened with my client here in Colorado Springs, is that he rented out his 3-bed, 3-bath, and he rented it to a family of 4. They didn't have pets, but my suspicion is that a lot of them will. So again, I would encourage you to be pet friendly. And if you have a big house in the suburbs that's in a wanted school district or school district that a lot of people talk about, then the things you're going to emphasize are if you have a fenced in yard, the fact that you have a fully stocked kitchen. And with both of these, you don't want to just say it in the listing. You also want to make sure that it gets photographed. Although with a fully stocked kitchen, I am totally against this trend of opening the cabinet doors. It just reminds me of my husband not shutting cabinet doors, and it drives me nuts. That said, you're going to emphasize, hey, pet-friendly, fenced yard, fully stocked kitchen, washer and dryer. We are this far from the grocery store. We are this far from the highway and the interstate. We are in this particular school district. We have storage. We have garage space. So those are the kinds of things that you emphasize when a family is typically the demographic that books your place. All right, property number 4 takes us to Maryland. I don't really know how to gussy this up or lead it in to make it sound super exciting. It's a 1-bed, 1-bath that is a new build that is very close to a retail area and about 30 minutes outside of a city. A lot of different people are going to want this type of rental. In this particular case, it was a government worker because it was near DC, so it was just outside of DC. They didn't disclose to us what kind of work they were doing. However, I looked at his profile and he was an accountant, so I'm assuming he was a contractor for the government in some kind of accounting role. The only thing he asked us about before he booked was he just wanted to confirm that there was a desk on site. And this is interesting because she had a table that looked out a window and we assumed, okay, a lot of people are going to use that, which is also true for breakfast bars. And that typically is the case when you have a property that's going to work for 1 or 2 people, AKA a property that probably is not going to have kids in it. Then most of the time that sort of setup will work because they're not necessarily going to cloister themselves in a small room to work. However, this guy cared about a desk. So she ended up putting in a desk. But my thought is that if you're going to add a desk, then it's important to add a desk in an area with a door that can be shut. Because if you need a desk, then you're primarily working from home. You are probably taking meetings and there's a certain level of privacy that you want. And again, if the office starts to seem like the pattern that people are asking about, then you want to lean into that. You want to say, I have 2 screens. I have a second screen on site. The desk is behind a closed door. We have a Wi-Fi speed of this, etc. Okay, 5th and final rental type. So this group is going to become more and more common. In this case, it was 4 adults and 1 Mastiff dog that was 7 years old. That was communicated well to us. We appreciated that. They rented for 31 nights. And the reason why they're going to become more and more of a popular group is because they did not disclose why they were staying. They did not tell us anything about what kind of work they did. The reason why I'm bringing this up, and more specifically, the reason why I'm closing out with this tenant group, is that I just cannot emphasize enough how little you care what they do for a job as long as they are responsible, nice, quiet tenants that pay their bills on time. If they're responding in a respectful time frame and in a respectful way, so not just one-word answers, but sentences, and if they're not asking for special exceptions for them, then they're probably going to be a good tenant. Obviously, you're also going to look at the reviews of past landlords and see how those landlords are talking about them. But I know that this may be an unsatisfying way to end. Like, you promised me 5 tenant types and I only got 4, and then who knows? But the reason for that is because, again, you do not care as long as the tenant comes in, they pay their bills. And as a general rule, when you're taking in tenants, there's going to be more work in the beginning and then you're not going to talk to them so much over time. And that's kind of the pattern you're looking for. A tenant that is respectful and thoughtful in their communication up front will probably be respectful and thoughtful in their communication throughout their stay. Okay, I hope that made you excited for midterm rentals. I think that this market is only going to grow. I think we're still at the beginning of it, so now is a great time to get in. If you are curious about the money that all of these first-time hosts made on their first-time rentals, so the 5 that I just covered, then check out this video. This video talks about all the money that these first-time hosts made on their first rentals.